as they really are with new Pa's Halloween makeup kits.
It's time for Monster Madness. The 80s slasher all started with Friday the 13th. Although Halloween can get a lot of credit for innovating and kickstarting the subgenre, Friday established a lot of the tropes that we hold dear. There's an unseen killer stalking a bunch of fun-loving teens at a summer camp. There are jump scares and a creepy atmosphere. There's comedic relief and jokes to add some levity to the horror. There's gory and brutal kills. And, all in all, the movie is pretty decently made, especially with such a small budget. It's Friday the 13th that set up the standard model for slasher films, and I've used that model to develop the slasher scale for this year's Monster Madness. I'll take a look at each movie through the lens of the 80s slasher, evaluating it based on its story, scares, comedy, kills, and craft. Each category will have a potential score of 5 points, meaning each film will get a total out of 25. And, to illustrate the slasher scale a bit more in depth, I've picked one of my favorite and one of the all-time classic 80s slashers, Sleepaway Camp. Let's break it down. To begin with, Sleepaway Camp has a very typical slasher plot. A group of young people go to a summer camp to have fun, but are killed off in gruesome ways by a mysterious and unseen killer. There was a lot of inspiration taken from Friday the 13th in terms of setting and structure, but there are a lot of differences too. We get a flashback to begin the film, something we take for granted in slasher films now. Also, the summer camp isn't empty like in Friday. Instead, it's full and operational. And, most importantly, everyone has the potential to get offed in this movie. Kids, adults, and teenagers. There's creepy cooks, a sleazy camp director, cruel counselors, skinny dipping, a baseball game, and all sorts of summer camp stuff to really indulge in the setting. But, what really sets this movie apart and makes it so well known is its ending. Sleepaway Camp is a fun watch with an ending that really drives the film home, kinda like Friday the 13th. So, in terms of story, I'm giving it a 4. In terms of scares, Sleepaway Camp doesn't have many. There's not really any jump scares, and the creepiest stuff is when we see the aftermath of the killings. There's not that much tension, even in the film's climax. So, for scares, the movie gets a 1. The movie does deliver on some laughs, though. There are characters and performances so bizarre it's hard not to laugh at them. The camp director is a real slimeball, and there are some moments where he overacts anger to the point of comedy.
Gotta stop him! He won't get away, Rag. He'll never get away from me again.
The lead counselor is a huge source of laughs for me too, based solely on his clothing. I've never seen an outfit like that in any other 80s slasher, and it almost looks like something you would see in a parody film. But the most strange and comedic character is the mother or aunt of our main characters Angela and Ricky. Every second she's on screen is overacted until she becomes a weird, super campy character that seems fresh out of a John Waters movie.
Oh, I remember what it is. I knew I wouldn't forget. I just kept reminding myself. In fact, I tied a string around my finger so I wouldn't forget. See?
So, although there's not much comedy written into the film, there's enough weird stuff to give you a few chuckles. This one gets a 2 in the comedy department. In terms of kills, there's only one that happens on screen. Otherwise, the effects budget is used sparingly to create a bunch of really gross corpses. There's something really effective about the scene where a snake crawls out of a drowned character's mouth, filled with some dark irony from the scene where he died. There's a lot of really interesting deaths here, but we never get to see them. You could argue that that strengthens their impact by making you imagine the violence. But in the world of 80s slashers, you come for bluntness, straightforwardness, and gore. And Sleepaway Camp only barely delivers on that promise. So, for kills, it gets a 2. And finally, we come to craft. The movie looks fine, but it's overall pretty unremarkable. The special effects look good, but there's nothing super interesting being done visually. The movie is a bit predictable, and some of the acting is just not good. But, all in all, the movie is competently made and easy to follow. It keeps you entertained and has a good sense of pace. And, most importantly, it feels like a decent 80s slasher. So, in the craft department, Sleepaway Camp nets a 3. But how does it all stack up on the slasher scale? With all of the categories added together, Sleepaway Camp ends up with a final grade of 12 out of 25, making it practically smack dab in the center. Overall, it's a pretty fun slasher that's a nice change from rewatching the Friday the 13th series over and over again. Most slasher fans have heard of this one, but it's pretty forgotten by many horror fans. So, if you want to give something new a try, check out this uncommon but pretty iconic summer camp slasher. And that's all for now. Until next time, stay spooky.